Okay, let's talk about Brock Purdy. I think, obviously this is going to be a huge topic this week. And we knew this was coming. It's funny because I put together a bunch of clips of me praising Brock Purdy and put them out yesterday. It
Mhm.
was received with mixed emotions, I would say. But either way, one thing that did come from that, Ryan, was a couple shows that you and I did together
Yeah.
where we kind of warned about this. We talked about this and said, "Hey, Brock, when he struggles, because every player does at some point,
Mhm.
like make sure that you don't jump off the bandwagon. Like that's when you've got to support him more than ever." And it was in particular one of the shows that we did this offseason, which was advice for the 49ers and advice for Brock Purdy and what they should do going forward. And we gave a lot of advice during that one. Actually, a lot of it came true. The 49ers have done a great job of handling the situation up to and including having him be a team captain, promoting him in every video that you can, trading Trey, all those things. But we know that a lot of people live week to week in this league. I mean,
Yeah.
you see a quarterback, Justin Herbert is this week's target. He played on prime time, so of course everybody watched it. Now all of a sudden he sucks.
So
Last week
dumb.
Dak sucked.
Yeah.
Week 1 Josh Allen sucked. Like people live week to week.
Yeah.
So don't stop living week to week. And I understand that it can be easy to do that with Brock Purdy, who hasn't played a lot of football. Like if there's a player that you're going to live week to week with, it would be more a guy like Brock Purdy or a rookie quarterback, maybe than an established player who is very good. But even then, you shouldn't have these major ups and downs. Like be consistent. It's fine. It was a rough week, it was a very rough week, but it's not the end of the world, at least in my opinion. So I'm not super panicked about Brock Purdy, but I think there's definitely some things there that need to be cleaned up that I
Mhm.
think have always been there, and they finally just showed through about as bad as they could this game. But overall, my panic level on Brock, because I do think he's very confident and because I have seen him play very well with weapons around him, is not that high. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd put it at like a 2. What about you with Brock Purdy? Where's your panic level?
Yeah, I'm not panicked about Brock Purdy. I have all his statistics. I do this every Tuesday morning,
Yeah,
so it's
every
kinda
Tuesday. Yep.
it's kinda nice because, then we come on the show and I can talk about it. Let me read this off if that's okay.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind
Let's do it.
I think it kinda paints a clear picture of where he's at right now. So, Brock Purdy's numbers after week 6. He's 22nd in completion. So I rank them and then I tell you how many he has and whether he's trending up or down. So he's
Hmm.
22nd in completions with 110, which is down from the previous week. He's 23rd in attempts with 163, which is up from the previous weeks. His completion percentage dropped a ton. It went from second to 12th. He's now at 67.5, so it went down. Yards, he's 11th overall with 1,396, which is down. Average, he's second with 8.6 per completion, which is the same. He's still second. Yards per game, 14th with 232.7 yards per game is down. His long pass of the game, this is kind of dumb because it could, it's about the longest pass. What not air yards, it's just like
Yeah, yeah,
the longest pass. It could have been Ayuk running for 80 or him throwing for whatever. But anyways,
yeah.
he's 35th in the long pass category with a 42, which is down. He dropped down some spots. Passing touchdowns, he's 8th with 10. He's still tied for first. He did get one interception, but he's still tied for first. He's sacked. As far as getting sacked, he's 12th with 11 sacks. He's taken 11 sacks. His QBR, though, is still first after this performance, which is phenomenal. It's
Hmm.
76.9. And his rating dropped down one spot to 111.9. Tua took over. He's trending 3,955 yards on the season, 28 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. So that's where Brock Purdy's at. And that kind of, you have to judge quarterbacks over like long periods of time, right?
I
The
agree.
accumulation, and this is kind of getting there now, right? We're after week 6. We've had 6 weeks of data this season, so you're kind of seeing where he falls, right? The 49ers, honestly, they don't ask him to pass that much. He's only 22nd in completions and 23rd in attempts. He's not asked to do a ton of passing, and he's kind of, he's pretty accurate. His completion percentage is 12th in the NFL, which is pretty good. So we kind of just know who Brock Purdy is. He's not going to turn the ball over a lot, which is huge. one of the
Yeah.
big factors for the 49ers why they're winning so much is they lead the NFL in takeaway differential. They're +8. They've taken away the ball 11 times, and they've only turned it over 3 times. This is a huge factor, and that's what Brock Purdy's asked to do. Come out here, find your weapons, get him the ball, don't turn the ball over. And I think he's one of the best in the league at that.
Yeah, most certainly. And, much like last week where the numbers were really, really good, you're going to see a player go up, especially in a 6-game sample size. Last week was a 5-game sample size. When one of those games is as great as it was, you're going to see everything skyrocket. And then in a 6-game sample size, when one of those games is as bad as it was, you're going to see everything plummet a little bit, right? Like that's just the way that it works. So not a surprise that everything is trending down this week. I would imagine that things would kind of right size and go back to normal next week. But you're right. I mean, it is about accumulation, and it's not just about what this season looks like. It's an accumulation of what a career could look like. And that's why you need a lot of data before you make a decision, or at least I do. But when I look at what Brock Purdy can be this year, and the reason I'm not panicked is because the sample size of what he is with this group of weapons around him is all phenomenal. It was phenomenal last year. It's been phenomenal this year. So a couple weapons go out. I guess the only thing is like, hey, if you told me CMC is not going to play the rest of the year, my panic level would rise. Like instead of being at a 2, I'd probably be at a 6 or a 7. That's just being real.
Right.
But I don't expect that CMC is going to be out for a long stretch or won't be there for the end of the season. That's just the way that it is. So what I do know is with these players around him, he plays at an elite level. Like we were just talking about, possible MVP. If we were doing a quarterback power ranking, I know I had him in the top 3 for a quarterback power ranking. Doesn't mean that I think he's a top 3 quarterback, but for what he was doing this year, he was playing like a top 3 quarterback. So with these weapons and with this team and the way it's constructed, I have no reason to panic over Brock Purdy off of one game with guys that are likely going to be healthy soon. So no, my panic level is just not there. It's not.
Yeah, no reason to panic. It's one game. Every quarterback has a bad game. Burrow had 82 yards again. Burrow had 82 yards against that defense. So it's a historically great defense. I expect them to bounce back against Minnesota.
Yeah, most certainly. I mean, and only one quarterback has played well against this defense.
Yeah, Lamar
Jackson. That was it. He was 15 and 19, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns, 27 rushing yards, and 2 more touchdowns. So like Lamar Jackson is the guy that played very good against this defense. One quarterback. That's it.
Now, Lamar's cooking this year, by the way.
The other quarterbacks weren't good.
Yeah.
Burrow is the only other quarterback that was a noteworthy name that they've played against. He was awful week 1. People can say it was the calf injury. I don't know. If you're out there and playing, I feel like you're either good or you're not. And Burrow wasn't good. And, the Browns definitely held him in check big time as well. But the other ones were like Tannehill, not a good quarterback. A couple other guys that just,
Pickett did okay, believe it or not. He did okay. He was like 50% completion rate, but he did have like 220 yards.
Yeah.
1 touchdown, 1 interception, kind of like Brock.
Yeah.
But Lamar's cooking this year, man. By the way, I think that we should mention that. Shout out to your son. He picks quarterbacks wisely, but yeah, he's balling right now.
He is a Lamar fan. He's chosen a good one for sure. GTC Reels says, "You want us fans to be rational and reasonable?" Nah.
Doesn't happen.
You're right. I might be asking too much.